When my daughter was young, I refused to buy her things like Cocoa Puffs or Reese Puffs or any of the obviously junky cereals, the ones with the cartoons on the box and that kind of stuff. And I did that because they were obviously junk. But the flip side of the coin is, I actually thought that if I had to choose between giving her a donut for breakfast or one of those fun cereals, the fun cereal was a better choice. It turns out that they were equivalent. I want to talk about the amazing marketing that companies have used to trick us into giving our children dessert for breakfast.
Please subscribe.
So, when I took a look at the box, what I learned was that Cocoa Puffs, before you add milk, has 31 grams of sugar per serving. A half a cup of milk, whether it's skim or whole milk, doesn't matter, has about 6 grams of sugar. So once you've got one serving of milk of cereal and a half a cup of milk in it, you've just raised the sugar count of your kid's breakfast to 37 grams of sugar. But I expected that because it's a fun cereal. What I didn't realize was that a typical glazed donut is 31 grams of sugar. A frosted donut could be as much as 33 grams of sugar. So if I give my kid a glass of milk, the regular donut, just regular glazed with a glass of milk, is equivalent to a bowl of the Cocoa Puffs. How betrayed do you feel right now learning that information? Because I could tell you I was extremely frustrated when I looked at those numbers and saw that ridiculousness. The truth is, no one thinks that a donut is healthy. Whenever we give it to our kids, we're doing that because it's a treat of some kind. Because a donut is a bunch of refined sugar, refined flour, and seed oils. We know this isn't healthy. But cereal is presented as whole grain, fortified with vitamins, heart healthy. It's supposed to be an amazing start to my child's day so that they can go to school or daycare or church, wherever they're going, listen appropriately to the teacher or the educator, and walk away with some good information in their head so that they can go there and play with their friends with feeling good about themselves and in their bodies. We think when we give our kids cereal, we're doing something good. This is so absolutely misleading because it's a bunch of lies on the package. Now, this is part of the reason that I always took the extra step to buy the healthy cereals, because I understood that there's no way that chocolate is going to be healthy for my kid first thing in the morning. So those Cocoa Puffs were not an option. The colorful cereals with the red dye number whatever were not options in our house. I bought my daughter things like honey bunches of oats and honey nut Cheerios and honey shreddies because all of the stuff in there is healthy, correct? And this is where, when I actually took the time, once I understood the whole carbohydrate thing, when I took the time to turn to the nutrition label, my brain almost exploded. Because what I saw was that a serving of shreddies is actually 43 grams of sugar. No, I'm wrong. It's 48 grams of sugar before the milk, and 56 grams of sugar once you've added that half a cup of milk. So worse than the Frosted donut, worse than the Stupidity cereals. And they trick us into purchasing these things because they tell us that there's very high fiber and 43 grams of whole grains per serving, and that it's packed with nutrition. And of course, it says there's honey flavoring this, not just stupidity sugar, right? And this is how they trick us. The honey shreddies has more sugar in it than if I would have given my daughter 2 Aero chocolate bars, standard size, for breakfast. Food companies want us to believe that cereal is this amazing, healthy food and that it's just as good for our kids as fresh food. because of all those added vitamins and minerals and things they've thrown in there. But honestly, Wellness Warrior, these health claims are like putting racing stripes on a minivan and then calling it a sports car. If I decided to give my kid a donut for breakfast, I would be expecting them to be bouncing off the walls. I'd understand if they were a little hyper and had trouble listening. But when I pour them a bowl of some kind of healthy cereal and send them off to school, my expectation is that they're fine. Unfortunately, my kid is going to be on a blood sugar roller coaster. And that means that somewhere around 90 minutes after having that cereal, so they'll be at school by this point, their blood sugar is going to spike. Insulin is then going to spike because it needs to step in and get rid of the excess sugar in their little body. Now, when insulin steps in to do this, especially if my kid has been regularly spiking their insulin because of high sugar things I'm feeding them, which now I look back at my daughter's life and realize, yep, that was happening. When insulin steps in, not only does it bring the sugar back down to baseline, often it's going to go too low. What does that mean for my kid? It means that their energy is going to crash. It means that they're not going to be able to focus. It means that my kid is not going to be doing well at school. And I want to throw that word out here, willpower, because we're often told that we don't have enough willpower to resist eating junk food. But my little kid is going to be having cravings and wanting some sugar because this little brain is going to know that now the sugar is too low, right? In the compensation it did to try to save them from the excessive amounts of sugar that was in that cereal. This is not a willpower story that your kid is living or that you ever lived. This is a biological reaction to too much sugar being eaten when your body was asking you for food. And the unfortunate reality for our kids is that this isn't a one-time event. Their lunch is similar, right? They're going to have a sandwich or they're going to have some pasta. And even if they have some kind of hopefully meal type lunch like meat and some vegetables, often we're going to get them a granola bar or we're going to give them some cookies or chips or whatever because we don't want our kids to feel left out. Somewhere in that lunchbox is going to be the high sugar thing that spikes their insulin, spikes their blood sugar first, spikes their insulin, and gets this entire system to pull the sugar out again and shut them down, causing a crash, and it's happening again in the afternoon. Every single meal that our kids eat these days is a blood sugar roller coaster. Okay. The good news is that the answer is actually quite simple. Because once we understand that this is what's happening to our kids, they're not willfully not listening. They're not going to school and just because we're not there. And a lot of us know this because in the house on a Saturday, we see the same roller coaster happening. The good news is the answer is to give your kid real food. If your child has animal protein and animal fat for breakfast, so that's something simple like bacon and eggs, sausage and eggs, ham, salmon if your kid likes it. If your kid has a real food breakfast, and if we can forego the carbohydrates in the morning, your kid's blood sugar is going to be so much more stable throughout the day that they're going to be able to manage themselves. They're not going to have a crash. They're going to be focused and make it easily to lunch. I would suggest having the child have a similar lunch, real food, meat, fish, poultry. At lunchtime, if you want to give them some kind of vegetable or that's fine. But it's about making sure that our kids are eating the thing that helps their brain to function better at school, rather than feeding them things because they're easy, because that's what their friends get, because we don't think we have time to cook breakfast in the morning or to make a real food lunch. You can make a real food lunch because you made, hopefully, a real food supper, and they can just have some of supper for lunch the next day. Invest in a thermos Starting your kid's day off with real food means that stable blood sugar helps them concentrate, helps them focus in school. This isn't just about avoiding cereal, Wellness Warrior. We're trying to break a generational cycle. I ate cereal for breakfast, and that's why I thought it was okay to feed my daughter cereal for breakfast. And if we don't teach the next generation that cereal for breakfast is a setup for not being able to think well and not being able to concentrate, if we don't teach them that there's a better meal to have, they're just going to continue to eat cereal and then feed their children cereal, not realizing how horrible it is for their brain and for their health. Because this isn't even just about their ability to focus. A lot of our children are obese today because of the ridiculous way they start their day, the way that their day goes, the lunches that they have, and the suppers that they have, because they're having carbohydrates, excessive amounts, at every single meal. The food habits that we build in our children today are going to become the healthy habits that they have tomorrow. It's going to be the healthy habits of the next generation. This isn't about taking away their cereal. It's about giving them the gift of health and helping them to have the healthiest possible bodies moving forward, and making sure that next generation has the healthiest possible body moving forward. Our kids have an opportunity to love learning, and they have an opportunity to live their lives in healthy bodies because we nip this crazy breakfast, lunch, like crazy carbohydrate stupidity in the bud as early as possible. The ultimate real goal that I have for everyone and their children is to get their health back, to live in strong bodies, and to be able to do the activities you want to do, to be able to think clearly, to be able to be in the ideal situation in your life. Remember, Wellness Warrior, a healthy body regulates its weight. So your kids are going to be so far ahead of wherever we started. The next video that I want you to watch is this one here. It's going to help you to get your health back and be on track every single day. So click on that link and I'll talk to you in the next video.